All right, put your screen to black for a moment.
To black.
Yeah, it'll make sense in a second. So stop your video.
Oh.
Okay, cool. All right, put your screen to black for a moment. Right, okay. Let's get the clock. Let's reset. Go. And go through. Okay. Right. And we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you as always for your patience. Thank you for waiting for Big Dave and CJ to turn up, as you always have. For that, we're grateful. But as you can see, there are tears in my eyes. There's pain in my face.
And that's just from his ulcer.
And there's sorrow in my soul. It's not just hay fever, ladies and gents. It's the final, the last edition, the final hurrah, the end of the road, the I don't know, the big stop.
And now the end is near.
It's over, ladies and gents. The boys from Bossk is done. It's all over. It's completely gone. So we figured we'd have one last edition of the show. We'll still talk about all the things we've watched this week. But I guess we'll reminisce about times gone by, about how fast and how long Dave's hair's grown, about how much weight I managed to lose, about how
I get to cut it off now.
If you want, this isn't Game of Thrones. You're not under contract. You know, it's your hair, your business. But it has been a beautiful journey. I remember when we first started it, the three of us, the three musketeers that were. The three brothers in arms that quickly became two, and not for want of trying. No, we did try and keep it free, didn't we, Big Dave? We tried to keep it.
But it's been a long year, just the two of us.
Well, I don't know. I think they still like the sound of our voices. And like I said, the ladies loved your hair. And it's been a journey. It's been an adventure, and it's been an honor. I've certainly grown as a host. I've certainly grown as someone who is a bit more comfortable when their nose is about to explode on live air. And it's been a journey. I think it's been a journey for you, Dave?
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey.
You've got to see some amazing bears. You've got to see what happens when a man has one after the other live. I used to be able to do that. I can't do that.
The more tips you get for an hour.
Yeah, but on the bright side, although that journey has come to an end, we do have something else coming down the pipeline. First of all, don't forget that New Establishment's always doing new podcasts, and the Global Frequency will still be going, but that'll be revamped. But me and Big Dave have a super surprise for you coming in, I think, a week or two. So keep your eyes posted on us, and maybe listen to the end of the show. We might announce somewhat of it then, but we'll see how that goes. Now, since we started this show, Big Dave, the entertainment world has changed dramatically. When we first started it was only what? There was Netflix, there was Disney
Netflix.
Plus.
There was no Disney Plus.
When we started, was there no Disney Plus?
No, it was Amazon and Netflix.
Okay, so it was Amazon, Netflix when we first started, yeah. And back then, it seemed happier days. It seemed a happier place. We were watching all sorts of shows that seemed entertainment and good fun. Squid Games. What was it? Stranger Things. It was also simple back then. Eh?
Squid Game was out last year, so we had all the other channels by then.
Well, we had what was the other show? We had the Marvel Netflix shows.
Yeah.
And what Amazon was like a dirty cousin. It wasn't like you didn't watch it all the time, but it had the occasional good show, right?
Yeah, it had the occasional show, didn't it? Or the occasional movie.
It wasn't unmissable TV like that show.
It wasn't the big bad it is now.
No, it's walked up and kicked the doors in. Since then, we've had Apple Plus, which Apple Plus was just a dirty little secret. It was like a mistress. Right, you didn't have to go there.
And they brought some good shows on
You didn't have to go there, but when you did, you had a jolly good time.
especially with old Ted.
Sorry, it's more like a massage parlor. Is that? No. It was good. And then you've got HBO, which we didn't get over here, but you get in the States. But Sky stepped up its game a little bit and started. You can get all HBO stuff on there. You had Peacock. You got Star Plays. What else you got? You've got the monster that is Disney Plus. I don't know what else.
Paramount Channel.
Paramount, which has stepped up and has to be the emptiest of the lot, but they've still got some big stuff coming down the road. Like Maverick, I think it's going to be released soon on there.
It might be. Here's a Paramount movie.
Got Maverick. I think you've got some more Transformers stuff down the road, like Rise of the Beasts or whatever. But that's certainly the weakest out of the lot. And I've heard rumors over the past couple of weeks that Warner Brothers could be sold off next year, next January.
Well, I heard that Paramount are bringing all the Showtime shows onto the channel as well.
Yep. And guess who Warner Brothers might be going to?
Netflix.
No, Paramount.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the big rumor. I don't know if it's true. If Netflix could get in there and buy Warner Brothers, they truly would be big boys. They'll be unstoppable, and it doesn't matter what Disney do at that point. But I doubt that'll happen. Because I reckon Disney, although it's got like the family market, outside of that, I think it's struggling. Like, there's no adult shows on there that you'd step out to watch. And when I say adult, I mean like nothing in comparison to, let's say, The Boys or True Detective or shows like that. There's nothing. Or even Game of Thrones, that's a perfect example. There's no The Wire, there's nothing like that on Disney Plus. Whereas you've got,
I suppose you've got Big Sky.
Yeah, but that's turned into more of a soap opera, hasn't it? It's like,
yeah, it has. The first season was really good, and then the second season
that was one of our favorite shows. You got me to that, right? I was like, Big Sky. Okay, I'll give it a go. First episode,
they had Rebel, and that was really good, and they dropped after season 1.
Yeah, Rebel was a really, really good show. I'm surprised they didn't give that a second season. And like I said, with Big Sky, first season's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Sort of had a touch of True Detective on it, and the first episode's like, they killed the brother. Right?
They killed a movie star in the first show.
They just whacked him in the first episode. Oh, okay, and it just builds into this great drama. But now it's a bit like, what? There's a cabal of serial killers here.
Well, it's just turned into a big drama, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not terrible. It's still watchable, but I'm like, it's not what I was originally sold.
Yeah,
and yeah, so there's a lot that's come over the past couple of years, and we're now in a really strange situation where TV studios. Well, I think there's too much bad stuff to watch, and studios are struggling to find the good stuff because the good stuff costs a lot of money.
Well, I think it's because they've just been spending millions on this. Hey, we'll buy this for such and such million. We'll buy that for 100 million.
And it's left me with a sort of bad taste in my mouth as well, because it's come at a time when there's a big drive for diversity and equality. But then they put some right duds out there that are like, really? Like, why are you putting this on? Why are you doing this to anybody? Why are you bringing people of color into this? Batwoman should have been cancelled halfway through the first season. Not carried on for, I think, another 2 seasons at the top 4. And not because it was a bad show, it was badly written. And it never made any sense. Batwoman.
It's a bad show.
Did you say bad shit?
Well, I could say that, but it was a bad show.
It was a really, really bad show and really, really disappointing. So
season 1 was really bad, and then they changed colour of the woman.
Yeah,
and that was just as bad. So
no, do you know what, Dave? I will say this: the final season of Batwoman was good, but by then the damage had been done. It was like I
stopped watching in season 2 after the third.
It did as the next season got good. Yeah, it did actually get good, but unfortunately, it was far too late by then. The power of streaming services has meant that the 80s nostalgia has continued, and since we've been there, we've seen the return of more Star Wars. The phase 3 or 4 of Marvel.
4 now.
And then the return of Top Gun.
Yeah.
Right, which is film for some reason still making loads of money. Yep. Cobra Kai made a big return, the sequel to the Karate Kid films. We're still waiting for Hilary Swank to make her, because she was in the next Karate Kid, wasn't she?
Oh, I didn't even remember. I forgot all about it. There was a
Yeah,
fourth
and
one.
she's yet to make an appearance, and it'd be really, really cool if she does. I
Is
think
Jaden Smith going to make an appearance as well?
Who? No. Because they're saying that's a whole different franchise. Will not go in there.
Oh, is that in a different dimension?
Yeah.
Different
But
multiverse.
it literally makes no sense. Like it's like they aimed it at the Chinese market, and to do that, that's fine. You can aim a film at the Chinese market, but karate is Japanese, and he wasn't doing karate in a film, so it's like, hold on a second, there, something's not quite right with this.
Doing kung fu.
So that's a bit of a shame, but yeah, that didn't quite work out. But we've seen a lot. Like now is, like I said, I think one of the reasons I started now this shows this is a peak time to be a bit nerdy, because all the biggest nerd products are either making a comeback or they're
Rebooted.
yeah, or they're being rebooted. Now we're going to go into the main part of the show and talk about some of the stuff we've watched this week, and maybe talk about its relevance and concerns to what we've seen over the past couple of years. Because a lot of the stuff we've got out now is sort of peak stuff, and I think when I say peak stuff, Dave, I mean like everything's been building up to this moment. Like Cobra Kai, the 80s nostalgia, a lot of products that were even from the 90s. There's something about the 80s, but there's something about the 90s that just reboots have been bad. So Men in Black struggled. Ghostbusters has struggled a lot. But I'd say that I was struggling from Ghostbusters 2. I remember sitting in the cinema watching that.
I don't know. Like, you watch the original one now, and it's really bad.
I think the original's still watchable. It's cheesy.
I tried watching it the other day. It was on telly on one of these old channels. And I started watching it, and I was like, God, Rick Moranis and this rubber dog.
Okay, I'll give you that. When somebody asks you if you're God, you say yes. So it's like everything's been building, and like even Amazon. Like when Amazon first started, I think it maybe had a couple of decent shows. There's nothing it had to call its own until it did Preacher. I think was when things really changed for it.
No, there was another show before Preacher that I used to watch.
I know Hannah was there, but Hannah was a continuation of a film.
Well, Preacher was a Marvel franchise that they just
no, Preacher was a DC Vertigo. It was under the same comic label that Sandman was. So it was like an adult label. And another product Warner Brothers somehow let walk away. I think it was Vertigo.
Was American Gods out before that as well?
No, I think American Gods came after Preacher. At least the first season of Preacher. But yeah, it really struggled. Like American Gods got cancelled after the second season. Preacher only lasted 3 seasons, I think.
Yeah, 3 or 4, yeah.
And there's about 30, 40 books. It's not like it could have gone on for longer.
But it started getting really boring.
MGM got bought up by. It got really silly because the second season's really long. It felt really dragged out, and the last season's like they rush that stuff. It's like boom, we're just going for it. So I find it quite interesting that how Amazon was able to do what they did with that one. Okay, bear me a few seconds, ladies and gents. Right, so what else?
I'm trying to think what came out.
Right, you're going to have to bear with me, ladies and gents. I'm just going to blow my nose because I literally am struggling here. Bear with me 2 seconds. They could talk to you.
I can talk to you. Just don't listen to Curtis or anything he ever says. It's all mumbo jumbo. He finds it all off the internet. Just Captain Hornblower is his real name. Because all he does is blow his nose. How big's his nose? Have you not finished it yet?
Well, that made me feel no better at all. Okay, so moving on as you do. In our final edition, we're going to go through some of the shows we've seen recently. I guess talk about it in comparison to what's happened so far. So probably the biggest release of the year is the fight between HBO and Amazon, which was Amazon's number one rated show at the moment, which is Lord of the Rings of Power, and a Game of Thrones